The notorious one just shattered everything you thought you knew about comebacks. While everyone's debating whether Conor McGregor is washed up, he's already 3 steps ahead, orchestrating moves that make his past success look like child's play. This isn't about another fight. This is about a complete systematic takeover of his own legacy, and what's happening behind closed doors with his training partner Ian Sheridan is absolutely terrifying for anyone who thinks the king is done.
Versus Conor McGregor, and Dana shut it down. He said, no, listen, that was 2 years ago. It's passed by.
I know there's like all the talk of Michael Chandler and Conor. Do you see like that as like a realistic thing?
No,
happening?
I mean, that was a couple years ago.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
not nothing you'd entertain for the
No.
White House.
No.
Poor old Michael Chandler sat on the sidelines like a good little boy, like McGregor called him, said, you'll do as you're told.
You want to do one?
Here's what separates McGregor from every other fighter trying to make a comeback. Most guys train for opponents. McGregor trains to control entire narratives. His camp isn't just sweat and technique drilling. It's a strategic war room where he's manufacturing opportunities that don't even exist yet. We're talking about a fighter who's had meetings at the White House, who's forging deals while other fighters are begging for phone calls from matchmakers. This is next-level fight IQ that operates outside the cage. While contenders wait for invitations, McGregor creates his own reality through sheer force of will and relentless ambition. And right now, inside that intensive training camp, you can hear him grinding his teeth, pushing past every limit to back up every single bold claim he's about to make.
You'll do what you're told.
And he did. He sat around and he waited and some more. Didn't get it.
But here's the brutal truth most people are missing completely. The biggest fights aren't won under stadium lights with cameras rolling. They're won in the suffocating darkness of training rooms, months before the first bell rings. McGregor isn't showing up for paychecks or spotlight moments anymore. He's fighting with every ounce of his being to reclaim everything he's achieved and then some. This warrior spirit, this primal drive that made him unstoppable, is getting rebuilt from the ground up. And while recovery and rest matter, sometimes you just have to acknowledge the hard truth about champions. They push through everything when lesser fighters make excuses.
We're in Vegas for that, and there's a lot of content coming your way about that. But anyway, so Michael Chandler is out of the equation. Who's it gonna be? Because I do believe that Conor McGregor will be on the White House card, okay? As we know, McGregor has been at the White House himself recently. Last year, showed up a couple of times. He was on Fox Sports or Fox News talking about it, saying, it's a done deal. I will be fighting at the White House.
Is this a done?
Now listen to this part, because this is where it gets wild. You hear all these so-called experts whispering about McGregor being done, washed up, a shadow of his former self. But look closely at what's actually happening inside that camp with Sheridan. That's not just regular workout sweat you're seeing. That's the raw ego burning away, the literal fat of distraction getting stripped from his mind and spirit. This isn't about looking good for social media posts or public appearances. This is about a warrior deeply entrenched in the brutal process of relearning how to be an apex weapon once more. Because here's the unvarnished reality that cuts through all the noise. The octagon doesn't care about your past titles, your highlight reels, or your bank account. It demands your soul every single second you're inside those ropes.
It ain't a negotiation. Wow. It's a done deal, signed, delivered. McGregor will compete in the White House.
And as we know, Conor McGregor, who recently got married, who's kind of had a
And get this, You can train with PFL guys, shake hands with presidents, amass all the fame and fortune in the world. But if you don't reconnect with that cold, unyielding fire that made you unstoppable, you're just another contender in a sea of many. True champions don't just claw back from physical injuries. They claw back from the suffocating comfort of success itself. McGregor is staring down the brutal reality of his own body, acknowledging its wear and tear, confronting the monumental weight of his own legacy. This isn't typical training. This is the grim, meticulous calculus of a high-stakes comeback. The profound humility to go back to the grindstone in agonizing silence, away from public eyes, rebuilding fight IQ piece by piece.
Fair play to the guy, and I'll tell you what, when you do see clips of him online, he does look healthier, he does look less puffy, and you do see clips of him out there training. So the man's getting ready for something, and a lot of people, because obviously I have a podcast, and we'll be back on Monday, by the way, me and Felder, so tune in for that. A lot of people are like, yeah, McGregor's done. Listen, a lot can change. The man's still only, I think he's 37 years old, okay? So he's not like he's that old yet. Yeah, he's at the tail end of his career. Even though, like Mike Tyson, he said he wants to do this for the rest of his life. He's at the tail end of his career. But 3 years, 4 years away, right? A lot can change if you lock in, if you get disciplined, if you get rid of all the bad habits, if you abandon all the yes men, if you get rid of all the distractions and you get in the gym. It's not unthinkable to think that Conor...
Here's where everyone gets it completely wrong. They focus on the political connections, the White House events, all the celebrity noise swirling around McGregor. But when that cage door closes, none of that external static matters one damn bit. The octagon doesn't give a *T about endorsements, Instagram followers, or star power. What it demands with unyielding ferocity is a raw, untamed warrior spirit forged in the brutal reality of pure combat. This is the ultimate test of true fight IQ. Can you stay laser-focused when the entire world is speculating about your celebrity handshakes and business deals? True champions never turn off that internal switch. The real fight isn't always inside the cage, but the readiness for that fight must always be burning.
Trash talk and all the rest of it, and the swagger and the confidence that he had, and the humour and the one-liners, you put it all together, the man became the biggest star that the sport's ever seen. 4 years away, I think it is, or 5 years, whatever it is, it's been a long time, and he broke his leg, but he's back training, he's back in the gym, and I tell you what, right, me and McGregor, we've gone head-to-head, we've talked a bit of shit over the years, but you can't deny the talent the man had, and if he locks in and he's disciplined, you can get almost back to that, if not totally back to that. And Jorge Masvidal is out here, he's teasing something big coming up soon.
But wait, it gets even crazier. Remember that terrifying efficiency McGregor showed during his 2019 run at 170 pounds. That wasn't luck or some gift from the fighting gods. That was the clinical precision of a killer who had completely mastered his moment, regardless of what the scale read. That's not raw talent. That's an assassin forged in the inferno of absolute purpose, driven by calculated intent that leaves zero room for doubt. The real war that carves legends into history and earns White House invitations is fought in darkness, in the soul-crushing grind of camp, long before arena lights ever hit. It's that surgical obsession performed behind closed doors, away from prying eyes, that makes history.
Even Chael Sonnen was talking about it. And as I said, when you look at Jorge Masvidal and the career that he's had, and then you remember, Jorge Masvidal has been a massive supporter of Donald Trump. I think he's spoken publicly at rallies for Donald Trump as well. So he's certainly in the good graces of the Trump family, right? And they're the kind of people that they're going to want at the White House. Conor McGregor versus Jorge Masvidal.
And here's the kicker that separates legends from forgotten names. The moment you stop grinding, the precise second you lean on past glory and old victories, this sport devours you whole. Inactivity isn't peaceful rest in this arena. It's a slow, agonizing fade into irrelevance. The rankings are a living, breathing beast with zero memory for yesterday's heroes, for anyone who isn't bleeding and proving themselves today. That's exactly why McGregor is back in the lab grinding with Sheridan. He knows deep in his bones that this game doesn't just pass you by. It actively races past you, leaving you in dust if you don't earn your spot every single day.
A natural 170, and Jorge Masvidal has fought at 155 but also finished his career at 170. He did fight for the belt. He did have the fastest knockout in history. He absolutely destroyed Nate Diaz when he became the first BMF. I mean, if you go back to 2019, that was the coming out party for Jorge Masvidal. Remember, shocked the world. Knocked out Darren Till at the O2 Arena, knocked out Ben Askren in what was it? 5 seconds, and then put a beat down on Nate Diaz, became the BMF, as I said. Now granted, 2000.
You hear that rumble in the distance? That's not just talk. That's the visceral echo of a warrior spirit refusing to die. It's the primal scream of a fighter called back to the crucible of self-improvement. In this unforgiving sport, the real ones never genuinely walk away. They retreat into shadows, into quiet spaces, and sharpen their blades with terrifying intensity. While others chase headlines and viral moments, McGregor is deep in trenches, grinding with unwavering focus. It's not about the eventual fight. It's about the all-consuming obsession that separates pretenders from legends etched in history. The octagon demands it and never forgets.
Match again to Kamaru Usman. This time he got knocked out cold. He lost to Colby Covington, who was like, floating around, one of the top contenders forever. He was there fighting Kamaru Usman for the belt on a couple of occasions. And I think just recently, Colby Covington finally is out of the rankings. I know Dana was asked about that, and he said, yeah, it didn't really make sense.
How does a guy like that stay in the top 15 for years after not fighting?
It's a great point.
In fact, if I just look at the MMA rankings right now, let me just...
Now here's what's absolutely insane about the current situation. People talk about UFC wanting McGregor to win, about pulling strings for marketing appeal. That's fool's gold in this brutally honest sport. White House events might grab headlines, but Octagon reality demands a tested warrior, not just a name with marketing power. You step into that cage and the overwhelming magnitude will expose every shortcut, every missed rep, every ounce of complacency from camp. A star's name might get the shot, might open doors to big fights, but it's the brutal grinding hours with true training partners like Sheridan that separate enduring champions from fading spectacles.
15 is Daniel Rodriguez. Number 14, Colby Covington. Anyway, so whatever. I'm going off on a tangent here. Let's get back to Masvidal. So Masvidal's coming back, right? He's teasing something big. He's talking to a lot of people. He's messaged me with his manager a couple of weeks ago about coming on the podcast. Hopefully he's going to come on this week. If not this week, he's going to come on soon. We were talking about it recently because he wants to announce something. Now,
hold up, because this next part changes everything. True champions who transcend the sport aren't just showmen. They're forged in the brutal, unseen grind of camp. You see the McGregor spectacle, the magnetic presence, but what remains hidden is the savage focus, the relentless drilling sharpening every weapon in his arsenal. That's where championship-level fight IQ gets forged. That's where warrior spirit gets hammered into unbreakable existence. Entertainment draws the masses, but raw, uncompromising preparation separates fleeting contenders from immortal legends.
The former champ came back again and got beaten by Carlos Prates, sadly. So Leon's looking for a big fight, and certainly there's a backstory there. But Conor McGregor versus Jorge Masvidal, that makes all the sense in the world, because for McGregor coming back, he's the big star. They want him to win. Simple as that. They do. The sport of mixed martial arts is a better place with stars like Conor McGregor involved. Of course, the White House, being the magnitude of the event that it is, it sells itself. It doesn't need Conor McGregor. It doesn't need John Jones or Alex Pereira or anything like that. But because it is the White House, they want to put on a spectacle.
But here's what really matters, and this is crucial. It's not about belts or accolades or iconic clips. It's about the cloth, the very fabric of being, that raw, untamed spirit forged in countless battles and fueled by pure hunger that gnaws at your soul. McGregor isn't casually walking back expecting victory. He's with Sheridan not just drilling techniques, but actively rekindling that fire, stripping himself back to that primal warrior. Because on the global stage, skill alone isn't enough. You win with unshakable will, with a spirit that screams in every fiber, not today, not on my watch.
It'll be one of the most watched sporting occasions that the world has ever seen, okay? So of course the UFC want to put on entertaining fighters. And I tell you what, Masvidal is entertaining.
And get this part because it's absolutely wild. McGregor chasing that BMF belt against Masvidal, you might call it nostalgia. I call it a brutal test of what fire still burns within. This isn't about climbing predetermined hierarchies. This is about pure primal fight stripped of all pretenses. When you see him training with PFL welterweights, hitting pads with savage intensity, you don't do that for memories. You do that because the warrior spirit fundamentally demands it. Even what appears nostalgic has the power to expose fakes whose fire has dimmed. He's proving to himself if that killer instinct still burns.
We know Masvidal's going to stand there. They're going to go toe-to-toe. They're going to dance in the octagon. They're going to put on a show for everyone involved. Donald Trump would love it. The UFC would love it. And you know what? Conor McGregor versus Jorge Masvidal, the first ever BMF, the owner of the fastest knockout in the history of the sport, and one of the, not only because he was the title of the BMF, he is a real life BMF. Remember, he was fighting in the backyard brawls with Kimbo Slice back in the day. I nearly got into a fight with him when I fought at Madison Square Garden because the guy...
Here's the real truth behind McGregor's return that nobody else is talking about. Forget dream matchups and PR noise. What genuinely matters is happening behind closed doors. He's bringing in fresh wolves, hungry PFL welterweights with one purpose: break him down physically and mentally, then build him back stronger and more deadly. He's finding out who he truly is again, stripping away celebrity comfort layers. This is where contenders choke, where aspirations crumble, where true champions get forged. Raw fight IQ collides with unyielding will in a battle for supremacy within himself.
And I'll tell you what, if Conor McGregor isn't going to fight Michael Chandler because they have moved on, and I understand that, I think Jorge Masvidal is a very good next option. But what do you think about that? Let me know in the comment section, because when I'm looking at the rankings, it isn't going to be someone like Islam Makhachev or Jack Della Maddalena. It certainly isn't going to be Shavkat or Ian Machado or Gary, Michael Morales, Bilal Muhammad, Carlos Prates. You know, I don't think any of those. It'd be someone, it'd be a throwback, it'd be a nostalgic fight that the fans...
So there you have it. McGregor isn't just making a comeback. He's systematically rebuilding himself into something more dangerous than he's ever been, using methods that separate legends from forgotten names. This isn't about past glory. This is about a warrior spirit that refuses to die, forged in brutal camp sessions away from cameras and crowds. The octagon demands everything, and McGregor is preparing to give it his soul all over again. Here's my question for you. Do you think this version of McGregor, the one rebuilt from the ground up, is more dangerous than the original? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this breakdown is just the beginning. If this deep dive into McGregor's real comeback strategy opened your eyes, smash that like button, subscribe for more inside analysis, and hit notifications, because the fight game is about to get absolutely wild. I'll see you in the next one.
Masvidal versus McGregor, that takes all the boxes. So what do you think? Is that the fight we see at the White House? Is that the guy that gets his hands on McGregor when he makes his long-awaited return? Anyway, I just got back from Tbilisi, Georgia. 28 hours on a flight. Unbelievable country. Thank you to everyone in Tbilisi that took care of me. Big shout out to Nika, all the people at the Stamba Hotel. That hotel is incredible. Also the Telegraph Hotel. Thank you very much. The people, the food was unbelievable. The weather was pretty good as well. Georgia, thank you very much. I went to my rab's birthday party. That was a lot of fun as well. And
But hold on, because what I'm about to tell you will completely shift your perspective on what McGregor is actually doing. You think this is just about getting back in fighting shape? Think again. While everyone's focused on his physical transformation with Sheridan, McGregor is playing a completely different game. He's not just preparing for one fight. He's architecting an entire empire that will make his previous business ventures look like lemonade stands. The man who turned whiskey into liquid gold is now weaponizing his comeback as the ultimate marketing machine, and the numbers behind this strategy are absolutely staggering. Here's what's really happening behind those training sessions. Every single video clip, every leaked sparring footage, every social media post from camp isn't accidental. McGregor and his team are manufacturing anticipation at a level that would make Hollywood executives weep with envy. They're not just building a fighter, they're creating a mythology in real time. When McGregor steps back into that octagon, he won't just be selling a fight. He'll be selling the resurrection story that every human being on Earth can relate to. The fallen king clawing his way back from the abyss. And that story is worth hundreds of millions of dollars. But here's where it gets absolutely mind-bending. McGregor isn't just studying fight tape anymore. He's studying Netflix documentaries, Marvel movie marketing campaigns, and psychological manipulation techniques that Fortune 500 companies pay consultants millions to understand. This man has turned his comeback into a masterclass in human psychology. Every training clip is strategically timed. Every public appearance is calculated to maximum effect. He's not just fighting opponents anymore. He's fighting for the attention span of an entire generation that's been programmed to scroll past everything in 3 seconds. And get this part, because this is where it gets truly terrifying for his competition. McGregor has figured out something that most fighters will never understand. The fight game isn't about fighting anymore. It's about storytelling. It's about creating emotional investment so deep that casual fans become die-hard believers willing to pay premium prices just to witness history. While other fighters are perfecting their jabs, McGregor is perfecting his ability to make millions of people feel personally invested in his journey. That's not just fight IQ, that's cultural manipulation at its finest. Now listen carefully to this next part, because it explains why McGregor's training with Sheridan is actually genius-level strategy disguised as preparation. Every legitimate fighter he brings into camp serves dual purposes. Yes, they're making him better, but more importantly, they're becoming witnesses to his transformation. When these guys leave camp and inevitably talk about what they've seen, they become unpaid marketing ambassadors spreading the gospel of McGregor's evolution. It's word-of-mouth advertising that money can't buy, delivered by credible sources that fight fans actually trust. Here's what separates McGregor from every other comeback story in combat sports history. Most fighters return because they need money or miss the spotlight. McGregor is returning because he's identified a gap in the market that only he can fill. The UFC desperately needs a megastar who can sell pay-per-views to casual audiences. They need someone who can make non-fight fans care about fighting. McGregor isn't just offering his services. He's positioning himself as the solution to the UFC's biggest problem: declining mainstream relevance in an oversaturated entertainment landscape. But wait, it gets even more calculated than that. McGregor's team has been quietly studying the psychological profiles of his potential opponents, not just their fighting styles. They're analyzing social media engagement rates, interview performance, trash talk effectiveness, and marketability factors. They're not just picking fights. They're curating entertainment experiences designed to maximize emotional investment and consequently revenue generation. This isn't fighting. This is entertainment engineering at a level that would make Disney executives take notes. And here's the kicker that proves McGregor is operating on a completely different level than everyone else. While fighters typically peak physically in their 20s, McGregor is betting that mental sophistication and strategic thinking can compensate for any physical decline. He's not trying to be the fastest or strongest anymore. He's trying to be the smartest, most psychologically devastating opponent anyone has ever faced. His training isn't just about muscle memory and conditioning. It's about developing psychological weapons that can break opponents before they even step into the octagon. You want to know what's really happening in those late-night strategy sessions with his inner circle? They're not just planning fights. They're planning cultural moments. They're identifying exactly which buttons to push in modern society to generate maximum emotional response. McGregor has figured out that in the social media age, controversy isn't just publicity, it's currency. Every calculated, outrageous statement, every perfectly timed provocation, every strategic social media post is designed to generate the kind of engagement that algorithms reward with massive reach. Now here's where this strategy gets absolutely diabolical. McGregor understands that modern audiences don't just want to watch fights. They want to feel like they're part of something bigger than themselves. So he's not just selling tickets to fights. He's selling membership in a movement. When people buy McGregor pay-per-views, they're not just purchasing entertainment. They're purchasing identity. They're buying the right to say they were there when the king reclaimed his throne. That psychological ownership creates customer loyalty that transcends any individual fight result. But here's what's truly genius about McGregor's approach to this comeback. He's not just preparing for success. He's preparing for failure in ways that will still generate massive value. Even if he loses his next fight, the story becomes even more compelling. The warrior who gave everything but came up short. The legend who proved that heart matters more than victory. McGregor has created a narrative structure where literally any outcome serves his larger strategic objectives. Win or lose, he profits. Win or lose, his legend grows. And get this part, because it reveals the true scope of McGregor's ambition. This comeback isn't about proving he's still the best fighter in the world. It's about proving he's the most valuable entertainment property in combat sports history. Every training session, every media appearance, every social interaction is being documented and archived for future content creation. McGregor isn't just preparing for fights. He's creating intellectual property that will generate revenue for decades through documentaries, books, movies, and digital content. Here's what's absolutely insane about the business infrastructure McGregor has built around this comeback. While other fighters rely on the UFC's marketing machine, McGregor has created his own media empire. His social media reach exceeds that of most television networks. His personal brand generates more engagement than entire sports leagues. He's not just a fighter who does business. He's a business that occasionally fights. And that distinction makes him virtually untouchable in negotiations, because he brings value that extends far beyond what happens in the octagon. So here's the bottom line that changes everything about how we should view McGregor's return. This isn't a comeback story. This is a masterclass in personal brand evolution disguised as athletic preparation. McGregor has figured out how to turn his own life into a subscription service where millions of people pay for access to his journey. Whether he wins or loses fights becomes almost irrelevant compared to the ongoing entertainment value of simply being Conor McGregor. That's not just next-level thinking. That's paradigm-shifting genius that will influence how athletes approach their careers for generations to come.